arise in different types of the crystal structure, that is the non-stoichiometric defects. And under the non-stoichiometric defects, I told you that there are different types. Basically, these arise in the different crystal structures having either deficiency of the metal or excess of metals. That means the main two types of defects are metal deficiency defect and metal excess defect. Now, for the last lecture, I explained you the first defect under non-stoichiometry, that is the metal deficiency defect. And if you remember, in that one I had discussed the solid, which is nickel oxide, having the formula NiO, in which what was happening was that if some metal ions, that is the Ni2 plus, are absent from any particular regular lattice position, then to occupy these positions, or you can say that to maintain the neutrality in the structure, different anions, different types of the same kind of the atom, that is the nickel, but having higher oxidation state, that is Ni3 plus, were present. And in the end, we got the structure as electrically neutral. Now, this was the topic which I discussed for metal deficiency. Now, there is also one more type of defect which is arising due to excess of the metal. So, let us see the second one, that is metal excess defect. Now, under this one also, there are again two types. That means the neutral metal atom, it can be present, or the positive metal cation, it can be also present at or in between the two sides, that is the regular lattice positions, or we can say interstitial sides. So let us see how these two types will come under this metal excess defect. So the first one is due to the presence of neutral metal atom. Now let us take the example of the simple solid, which is zinc oxide. And in zinc oxide, the two ions are Zn2 plus and oxide, that is O2 minus. So, if I represent the structure for this Zn2 plus and O2 minus alternately, then it looks something like this, in which we are arranging these two cations and anions in alternate positions. So, this is a short representation for this zinc oxide crystal. Now, this is about the pure crystal in which there is no defect. Now, when can we say that the defect will arise? So, the defect arises due to the excess of neutral metal atom. Neutral metal, that means this zinc. So, this zinc atom, only the neutral zinc atom, it can occupy any of the interstitial positions, and because of its presence, the crystal is said to be having metal excess defect, which is coming under non-stoichiometric defect. Why? Because when this neutral atom comes in between the two sides, then the stoichiometric stoichiometry changes for the complete crystal. So this point is very clear and very easy. Only the neutral atom remains in between the two sides and which will be in excess other than the zinc ions which are present at the interstitial positions. Now, let us move towards the second one, and that is called as, it is again because of the excess atoms, but due to the presence of, you can say, Zn2 plus and electrons. Now, let us see the same structure is there. That means the Zn and oxygen ions, they are present alternately. And if it comes like this, so we have to consider here the second case, and in that case we have to show the presence of these two things at the interstitial position. So when can we get this Zn2 plus and electrons? So it's very simple. When this particular crystal is heated, or when the crystal gets heated, then what happens? Whichever these zinc atoms are present in the neutral state, these zinc atoms, they release electrons and they result in formation of Zn2 plus ion. Means we can achieve this type of defect only when this crystal is heated. So on heating, we are getting two things. One is Zn2 plus ion and other one is two electrons to balance the two sides. Now, where these two things will go in the crystal, that is the Zn2 plus ion and two electrons. So, whichever this Zn2 plus, it will be present again in between any of the two sides, and to maintain the neutrality, whichever the two electrons are released, these two electrons will also occupy the interstitial positions. So we are having one and the same, but only thing is that this is the defect due to excess. But excess of what? Or the presence of what? Zn2 plus and the electrons releasing out of that. Fine? So in the previous one, that defect was due to only the presence of neutral zinc. And here, now it is due to the presence of Zn2 plus and correspondingly how many electrons are released, both occupying the interstitial positions. So I hope this topic is very clear. Now let us move towards the next one, the last type of defect or the last topic of this chapter, and we can give another type of name for this type of defect, and you can say that this is a defect which is arising due to F centers or due to the presence of anions which impart color to the particular colorless crystal. So the last defect is by anions, or you can say F centers which give color. Now, normally this type of defect is seen in colorless crystals. This very simple example, let us take it as NaCl. So, this NaCl crystal is colorless. Fine. Now, how this kind of defect will arise in this NaCl, and in the end, how it will change its color to yellow. Before it was having colorless. whichever the colorless NaCl crystal is that, when it is heated in the presence of sodium vapor. We are supposed to heat the crystal not just like that, but with the presence of the vapors of sodium. So, when this is done, what will happen? Whichever the sodium atoms are there in the vapor, they will get deposited on the crystal surface of this NaCl. Fine. So, on heating, we are getting deposition of sodium atoms on the crystal. Once this is achieved, next what will happen? Whichever, now see, NaCl crystal, what are the two things? One is Na plus and other one is Cl minus. It's an unmixed solid. Means the two particles or the two ions are alternately arranged. Once you are getting deposition of sodium, then this Cl minus anions, what they will do? They will start diffusing to the crystal structure, and now when they will start diffusing in the crystal, they will leave their regular lattice positions. So Na plus Cl minus, Na plus Cl minus. This is a regular arrangement. But once you are getting deposition of sodium, the Cl minus anions, they will start leaving their regular lattice positions, and they will start diffusing in the crystal structure. Now, after this diffusion of Cl minus, what will happen? These Cl minus, they will combine with which atoms? Sodium atoms, which are now deposited already on the crystal. Means this sodium was deposited. How this was deposited? Because we are heating the crystal in the sodium vapor. Next what will happen? Cl minus from the crystal diffuses, leaves the regular lattice position, and then it will combine with sodium atoms. So, the reaction takes place like this: Na plus Cl minus. What will be the product of this one? This will result into NaCl, that is sodium chloride. But to balance the charges, one electron will be released. So, on both the sides, we are having negative charge, one negative charge. Now, once this is done, what will happen? Whichever the electrons released by the combination of chloride anion and the sodium atom, so these electrons, where they will go? They will also start diffusing into the crystal structure. But we are already having the vacant positions, and how these vacant positions are created? Because Cl minus have now left their regular lattice sites. So, whichever these empty sites are present, on those empty sites now these released electrons will occupy the places. So, it's very clear, because of the electrons which are released, they will occupy the lattice positions which were regular for the chloride anions, and this complete procedure will result into formation of F centers, or you can say that this process will impart certain color to the particular crystal. It is just because of what you are doing exactly. You are heating the crystal, sodium vapor is there, the atmosphere. So the atoms of the sodium, they get deposited on the crystal. Next, chloride anions start leaving their regular lattice sites. After that, they will combine with sodium and form NaCl with release of one electron. These released electrons will now occupy the positions which are now vacant due to the absence of chloride anion, and in the end we get formation of F centers, and this process results into the color for the at the beginning, whichever the crystal was that, it was colorless. So this process gives color to the colorless crystal. So I hope all these defects are very clear to you now. Let us revise once again what were different things we saw in this complete chapter. Here we have finished with the chapter. In the beginning, we started with which one? The solid state. We saw the characteristics also. We are dealing only with the particular solid state. Different characteristics we saw. After that, we went for the unit cell, that particular concept. Unit cell, we saw different types. We saw what are the parameters for this unit cell, that is the age length and angle between the different ages. We gave the names as A, B, C. On that particular basis, different unit cells we can form. After that, we went to the different types of these crystalline solids. In that, after that we saw different arrangements of the constituent particles, may it be in one dimension, two dimension, or three dimension. Under two dimension, we saw two types of packing, that is AAAA packing or square close packing, and one more we saw, that was ABAB packing or hexagonal close pack structure. After that, for 3D packing, we saw this packing obtained from 2D, that is starting from AAAA, where again we got cubic close pack structure for the one type, and from this ABAB we got ABC, that is the hexagonal close pack structure. We found out the different coordination numbers also in different types of packing, may it be 2D or 3D. After that, we saw this types of cubic unit cells, that is the simple cubic unit cell, SCC, body center, BCC, and face center, that is FCC. We also found out total number of particles present in each type of unit cell. That is, it is 1 for SCC, 2 for BCC, and it is 4 for FCC. After that, we went for one derivation of one particular formula, that is the relation between molar mass, density, age length, Avogadro's number, and the number of particles present in the unit cell, and that was n is equal to rho into a cube into Na divided by n. So by relating all these things, you can find out any of the unknown parameter. We saw one numerical also based upon that. Then the most important thing we discussed is regarding the how to find out packing efficiency. Packing efficiency means what? how tightly the particles are arranged in particular volume of that unit cell in terms of course, percentage. So that packing efficiency we calculated stepwise for SCC structure or unit cell and this body center crystal structure. FCC part is also given, but now that is omitted from the syllabus this year. Then after that we went directly for the last part, that is the defects which can be present in the crystal. I discussed regarding the meaning or the exact definition of the defect, why the defect arises in the structure, which solids or which crystals are real crystals and which are, you can say, the perfect and the imperfect crystals. So what is the reason behind the presence of such defects that we discussed, and normally how to avoid the defect presence in the crystal? The very simple method is that we have to carry out the crystallization procedure at a slower rate. Then only we can minimize the defects present in the crystal. So, for the last topic, we were discussing different defects which are normally present in the crystal structure. Under the defects also, there are three different types, like the point defect, line defect and the plane defect. But for your study, only the point defect is there. Under point defect also, many types are there. So, the main three types which were coming under point defect are: the first one is stoichiometric defect, second one impurity defect, and the third one non-stoichiometric defect. We discussed each and every type of defect in detail. Under stoichiometric, we saw four subtypes. That is, the first one was vacancy defect, then it is self-interstitial defect, then Schottky defect, and Frenkel defect. All these were coming under this stoichiometric defect. Then comes the second one, that is the impurity defect, under which we saw two main types, that is the substitutional impurity defect and interstitial impurity defect. Then for the last type, that is the non-stoichiometric. For the previous lecture, I had discussed one subtype, that was the defect due to deficiency of the metal, and now in this last lecture I discussed regarding the defect due to the excess of the metals. Now that excess can be present in the form of neutral atom or in the form of positive ions and electrons. And the last one type of defect was due to the F centers or because of the anions which are leaving their regular lattice positions and electrons occupy those regular sites, which impart color to the colorless crystal. So in this way, we have discussed each and every topic of this chapter. The last part, which is given in the textbook, that is regarding the metallic properties of the solids, like the band theory, how the metallic properties arise, regarding the semiconductors, N type, P type, and the last one, that is the magnetic ferromagnetism, diamagnetism, paramagnetism, that particular topic has been omitted from the syllabus for this year only. So please make a note in your textbook also, that is, you have supposed to study only till page number 20 from the points 1.9, that is completely omitted, as well as the last one is 1.10. So whichever topics coming under 1.9 are completely omitted, as well as the topics under 1.10 are also completely omitted. So please be careful while you solve the questions based upon this complete chapter. Wherever you see questions based upon these last two topics, that is electrical and magnetic properties, please skip those questions and try to solve the remaining questions. Now, just to summarize this one, we'll begin with a new chapter for the next lecture, but we'll take some numericals which we had not taken previously. Two numericals we are already finished. Now only to have some practice for the remaining ones. Let us go for page number, it's 15. Now see, under page number 15, they have given one solved numerical. Whichever the numericals are there below the chapter, the unsolved ones, all these numericals are easy and they are on the same lines which they have given in the textbook under the solved numericals. So let us see the simple one on page number 15. It's numerical number 1.4, and in this they have said a compound is formed by two elements A and B. So these are the two elements they have mentioned. Only two elements are there, and by combination of these two elements you are getting the complete compound. Now next they have said is that the atoms of element B, they are forming CCP structure, that is cubic close packed structure, which we saw under 3D packing. If you remember this CCP structure we were getting from 2D AAAA type of packing. So this topic is there. Now, so the structure is CCP. After that, the atoms of A, they occupy 1/3 of tetrahedral walls. Means A is occupying 1/3 of this tetrahedral wall. Fine. So they have asked us what can be the formula for the compound. Now, if you remember, we have seen two types of bonds, the tetrahedral one and the octahedral one. It's very clear if you say that capital N is the void representation or the number of the voids which are present in the crystal, then always for any crystal the number of tetrahedral